Some of us are.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Now you might be wondering what DayZ is, and what is survival ethics. Well, don't you worry. As the title suggests, we're going to be diving into the deep and interesting field of ethics, and how a video game, of all things, might show us more about ethics than a questionnaire ever could. DayZ is a massively multiplayer online game that takes place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with maps spanning hundreds of square kilometers. Players must manage their hunger, thirst, temperature, and health by scavenging the abandoned wasteland riddled with zombies for youthful supplies, with some questionable methods to ensure survival. But the only danger is not the countless zombies. It could be the freezing winds, a pack of wolves, or even the thing that moved in the corner of your eye. Other survivors pose the biggest threat, and the most eye-opening aspect of any survival situation. With this knowledge, we should be able to discern that DayZ is pretty realistic, and it is with this knowledge that we can begin to understand the implications this can carry. A research paper conducted by Cecil Cristofari and Matthew J. Couton determined that by using a virtual setting that mirrors real-life scenarios, participants are more likely to perform realistic decision-making in stressful situations. Now, weapons in DayZ play an important role within the ecosystem of gameplay, where players venture further into the map in order to obtain better gear and weapons. This is due to a multitude of reasons, the main one being self-defense against other survivors. Because nothing in this game guarantees your safety. There is no police, there is no hospital, there are no laws. The only thing that can keep you from dying is your own actions. And that is why I've chosen this game to investigate survival ethics. While classic ethics focuses on famous thought experiments like the trolley problem, survival ethics is an exploration of ethical dilemmas concerning survival situations. This can range from real-life incidents like the Andes plane crash, where passengers resorted to cannibalism to survive, all the way to books and media. One popular example is The Road, written by Cormac McCarthy. This book follows the journey of a father and son as they navigate a post-apocalyptic America as they battle through hunger and the depravity of other survivors around them. Throughout the book, the father constantly has to make hard decisions to increase their own chances of survival, from shooting a man in the head to condemning a man to death by not feeding him and stripping him of all of his possessions.
Come on. Every goddamn stitch. We'll do this. Do it. All right. Let's take it easy, okay?
But more recently, video games are becoming a more notable medium in which to observe these hard ethical dilemmas play out in real time, whilst not having to actually experience the physical hardships these situations present to the subject. Because one of the main issues with getting realistic answers from ethics questions is a lack of stake. You could ask someone, or you could give them a questionnaire where they have to fill out answers or respond to you while they sit at a desk in an air-conditioned room while they think about their answers long and hard, when in reality, the questions that are given to them in these situations are not on a paper, it's right in front of them. The decisions they have to make, whether or not they share food, whether or not they help people, whether or not they have to defend themselves, is the consequences are very real. The stake is your life and other lives and your family's life. And when the danger is present, when the danger is right in front of you, your response is going to change. You're not filled with adrenaline sitting at a desk imagining it happening, but when it's actually happening, your body reacts physically. It wants to defend itself. There's emotions racing through your head. Your heart is pumping. There's adrenaline all throughout your body. And that is why these questions usually do not give proper answers. And as outlined in Cecil and Matthew's report, quote, "Indeed, while many countries in the world enjoy comparatively safe daily life, the possibility of major unplanned crises, be they caused by a natural disaster, pandemics, or a war, represents a threat that modern societies cannot ignore. In such a situation, people might have to make drastic choices that could jeopardize their lives or others on a regular basis. In practice, however, the study of moral dilemmas is limited by the nature of the devices used to test them. Most studies use relatively standardized protocols in which participants are given a description of a scenario involving a life or death situation that can be solved in different ways, usually according to either utilitarian or ethical principles. While such protocols have the advantage of being easily settled and controlled in a laboratory, they dramatically lack an ecological component. Answers given in a safe environment in which no choice will have any real consequence are likely to be an imperfect reflection of how people would react to a similar situation in real life. And that is why I've chosen to take on this horrible, horrible burden to play DayZ for my English culminating to explore and learn more about survival ethics. And as I show you my clips and my thoughts and reasonings behind these clips, I want you to ask yourself this question. What would I do if I was in this situation? Now we'll start off easy. So me and Josh were wandering around a town when we heard an animal of some kind out in the field. And when we went out to investigate, we saw a large animal of some kind, some big game. Now, in Canada, it's legal to hunt without a license. And since I don't have a license, this is technically illegal. But it would be hard to argue against me if I was fighting for my life in an apocalypse and you told me not to shoot the moose because I didn't have my RPAL. That would just be silly. Now, hunting in of itself is a divisive issue, with some condemning it as a violent act and immoral, while others defend it as a way of life and a source of food. And in this situation, I'm not worried about how this animal's family's going to feel after I shoot it and kill it and eat it.
If I get close enough, I'm going to use my shotgun.
I'm more thinking of myself and my friend Josh and how we're going to survive for the next days.
It's moving. Hold on.
And
I'm just going to shoot it.
So, of course, I shot it. And at this point, you see 4 other big game run off in the distance because they travel in a pack. And I was thinking at this moment, okay, I already shot one of them. Do I need more meat? Because even if I have this one animal, it has enough meat to feed me for weeks. There's no need for me to shoot these other animals because I already have everything I need right here. And the only qualm I did have about this was the fact that this is during Christmas. This gameplay is recorded during Christmas, and during Christmas there's an event where it's reindeer instead of moose. So I was pretty shocked to find out that I killed a reindeer.
I killed Rudolph.
And that I might have shot Rudolph because, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of steak. Oh, we are never going hungry ever again.
So, was this worth it? I certainly think so. I think that my life has more innate value than the life of a reindeer. And in a paper written by Charles C. Verheeren, titled Survival Ethics Theory to Be Good is First to Be, there's a quote in there that I'll like to bring up right now, saying, all other values follow from this first principle because no other values exist in the absence of life itself. The writer writes on later on, also points the fact out that survival is a precondition for all other values to have any meaning. But this in of itself does not mean that survival is the number one goal at all times. There's situations where you sacrificing your life may result in the greater good, like different versions of the trolley problem, like jumping out a grenade. There's different scenarios require different reactions. Now on to the part you've been waiting for the most. The clip in the intro was the culmination of around about 8 hours or 6 to 8 hours of just straight DayZ gameplay. And throughout this time, we've been shot at, we've been hunting, we've been running, we've been moving for a while, and we've been surviving for a long time. And at this point, you really start to feel like everything you've gained at this point is at stake. You have everything to lose at this point. You can take no risks, and everything you see is a threat. Because all this time you spent collecting your gear, hunting for food, and just making sure you're in the best possible situation can disappear in the blink of an eye. So when that door opens, I know it's not friendly. When that door opens, I know whoever's on the other side of that door wants what I have, and I have to defend myself. If they had been friendly, they would have opened the door, saw us, and walked away and started talking to us, trying to keep the tensions low. But instead of talking with us, he just shoots us. And this is something we just cannot let him do. We can't let him threaten our lives and do nothing in return. He's already proven that he's willing to do whatever it takes for him to survive. And now I must be willing to do whatever it takes so that I can survive.
He's on the left side. I'm dead. No, I'm dead.
But I die. I lose all my stuff. I'm dead. There's nothing that can change that. Now let me ask you a question. If you were there, behind that door, and it suddenly swung open, and you see a guy with a gun pointing it at you, what would you do? Would you stand there in shock? Would you ask him how he's doing, how his day was? Or are you going to fight back? Are you going to stand your ground? Because you only have about a second to decide what you're going to do, because he might make the decision for you. And by the time that happens, you might be dead on the ground. So let me ask you again. When that door opens, what are you going to do?